Okay, hey guys, what's up? Evilzombie here. So, today's going to be a bit more of a serious discussion. I am autistic. I have been diagnosed as that by the state since I was in 6th grade. Until then, everyone just thought I was weird. For the most part, people still think I'm weird. I'm pretty weird. That's just a given. I apologize for the fan noise. I have a fan on my desk down there because it's hot in my house and I don't like being hot. So I have a fan on my desk right now and I'm leaving it. I'm sorry. But first, let me just talk about this. This is going to be a bit more of a serious discussion today, and I just kind of want to talk because I never really talk about personal things, and that's something I've noticed. My buddy Eric, when we were working out, has talked to me about how I need to try and get things out more often because I don't. I just hold it in and I just kind of bottle it up forever until I have what we call a meltdown eventually. And that happens at some point. It does. It's just part of it. It's unfortunate. It's not an excuse. I need to learn how to control that. Did I press something? No, we're good. I need to learn how to control that anger. I try. I do my best, but it's still something I have to go through every once in a while because of just the way my body and my brain process things. And it's frustrating because sometimes I don't understand things the same way that everyone else does. I have to keep reminding myself to look at the camera. I'm sorry. I'm used to looking at the screen because I do Let's Play videos. That's kind of my vent. That's the way I release stress. That's the way I kind of just relax my brain. Because a lot of the time my brain is always pushing on something, trying to figure out what I should do. But today I'm going to talk about what autism is. And a lot of people might not know exactly what it is, and that there are different levels. Because the moment I've met several people, I am very high functioning, but that's not all on my own. I took classes all my life since I was a little kid, since I was in 3rd grade. Since I was in 3rd grade, I have been doing special classes called the Discovery Program in my school that I went to. The teacher, I still see that teacher in church when I go to church. I still see her. I say hi. Her husband, he comes over. We pray together. He comes over and sees me in my office. It's great. I love it. And I have all the respect in the world for them because I was not an easy child to deal with. I was not. My parents honestly thought I was deaf until I think I was 3 or 4. My parents thought I was deaf. I was not an easy child to deal with. I didn't respond. I didn't talk. Or I guess I would make noise. I would talk, but I wouldn't respond to them. And they had me tested. Yeah. I was not an easy... And I had a lot of energy. They hadn't figured out how to help me release that energy yet, or how to help me focus on things. So my focus was just kind of everywhere because I was kind of raised until I was 7... Until I was about 7, 8, as the same as everyone else. It was kind of raised the same as everyone else until then, but that's not what I needed. No, that's not fair. 3rd grade. Well, that's about right. 7, 8. That's about 3rd grade. I have a 2-year-old. No, sorry. I have a 2nd grader, the number 2. I have a 2nd grader. She's 7 years old. She'll be 8 in 2 months. So that's about right. 7, 8. But that's about when they started trying to treat me differently, I guess, because of how I was, or how my brain functions, how it works. Sorry if I have odd pacing in this. My biggest struggle when I'm directly trying to explain something, no matter what it is, or when I'm trying to directly talk to people. Online with the camera, I'm alone. There's nobody here. My door is closed. My office is actually soundproof. This foam behind me is not my real foam. That's just the looks foam. That's my cosmetic foam. That's the word. That's my cosmetic foam. The things I have in front of me, I have 2-inch thick, heavy-duty foam with 3 big 2x4 panels that I made that are 40 inches down, 18 inches across. I remember when I made them, and I have 3 layers of housing insulation inside each of them. And then I have a layer of material over that, and then a beam going across on... Sorry about that. I pressed a button. I'm going to move that keyboard away from me, very far away, because I shall not be trusted with said keyboard. I'm going to have to put this on my phone. I'm going to have to edit it, because Sony Vegas has been kind of acting up. I'm going to see if I can get it to work correctly again. I love Sony Vegas. It's a good program. Sorry, I get off topic a lot. That's just me. It's part of it. I hyper-focus on one thing at a time. I'm really, really good at focusing on one thing at a time. I'm the best at it. That's why I'm so good at computers, because if I'm looking for something on a motherboard, like if I'm looking for a blown capacitor, I will find that blown capacitor, because that is where all my focus is. Nobody is better than me at this. And I know that for a fact, because I'm very good at tracking down one thing at a time, and I have professional training in military-grade circuitry. Like, that, my dad worked in that all my life. And that's where I grew up around it. I know the chemicals, I know the manufacturing process, I know every material they use, I know the programs they use, everything from CAM 350, which was made... I'm sorry, CAM 350 is a good one. There's also Eagle, there's Plan Master, that's the one I first learned, which was a very old program, made by a guy that lives over in England, and to get a CD key, you had to contact him personally, because he made the keys by hand. Like, he himself made the license key for you. But that was a good program. It had a lot of memory issues. But that's not important. I need to get back to the topic. I'm sorry. I got sidetracked. Okay, autism. I went over a lot of topics there. I'm sorry. Okay, when I was little, I took a program called the Discovery Program, and they helped me learn how to write. They helped me learn how to use both hands separate from each other, which was something I did not have the ability to do for about a year. Like, when I was maybe 6 years old, 7 years old. No, I might have been 8 or 9 when I finished the Discovery Program. I was about a year behind everyone else. But I remember when I was in there, when I started, they started having me do figure eights with each hand separately. And I could not focus with one or the other. It's like, at the same time. I had to do one or the other. And this is a cool thing, because the way the teacher worked for me, it was like she was really good at focusing on things, you know? She was really good at just kind of helping me keep track of it, keep my focus on it, and then try and split where I'm focusing or how I'm doing it. So she taught me how to multitask, which is a great thing. That was one of the things that helped me, like one of the first steps. Then she started teaching me how to write properly, because I just kind of had my own way of doing things, and how to move my arms separately so I could try and keep my arms, like how to walk properly, things like that. How to talk, because I have always been a very abrasive talker. I've always been a very direct talker, and I am not good at I'm not good at communication. I never have been. That's something I probably never will be. And we're going to go over a little... Sorry, why is my mouse is dead? Hold on. Okay, sorry, my browser just kind of crashed, and it was weird. I don't know why I did it, but it did it. What was I talking about? I was talking about something. I think I was talking about how I didn't really communicate that well with people. But that's just kind of how it is. So I want to talk about with you... Sorry, it took me a long time to get here. What is autism? And how can you recognize it? And just what symptoms I have specifically that are characteristic of autism, how it sets me apart from things like Asperger's syndrome, ADHD, or ADD, because those are on the same spectrum, but they're not the same thing. They're similar because they have some of the same symptoms, but they are different because they don't have as many of the symptoms. Autism is the worst of them, where you have all of the symptoms, or most of them at least, you know? So you have more signs of it. You have more things to deal with. And it's difficult because you're fine in your own head, but everyone else looks down on you. And it's frustrating. trying to work in a professional world where everyone thinks you're just the weird guy is not a good thing. And that's just kind of something I've always had to deal with. So, let me see. Okay, here's just a nice little description of it, I guess. Autism spectrum disorder is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects how people interact with others, communicate, learn, and behave. Although autism can be diagnosed at any age, it is described as a developmental disorder because symptoms generally appear in the first 2 years of life. Like I said, my parents thought I was deaf until I was 2 or 3. That's very true. They thought I was completely deaf. They didn't know I could hear them because I didn't respond. I was focused on my thing. I could hear them fine. I just didn't respond. I didn't acknowledge that I talked to them because I didn't realize that I had to. That's something I actively have to work on now. Like when my wife talks to me, I make sure that I remind myself that I have to look at her eyes and I have to respond accordingly based on what she tells me. And this is just kind of my normal process that I go through every day. It's an active thing. It's not something that comes naturally. I assume that for everyone else it just comes naturally. And then I'll start talking. And I'll start talking about computers at some point, or I talk about Godzilla, or I talk about Dragon Ball Z, because those are my 3 things that I know. I didn't realize until recently how difficult of a person I must be to be around. Like how difficult I must make my family's lives until recently, because I started watching a South Korean show, a K-drama called The Amazing Attorney Woo, The Incredible Attorney Woo. Just look up Attorney Woo, W-O-O, Woo. It's about a attorney with autism, and she's lower functioning than I am. The actress does pull off a lot of things that I didn't realize I did until I saw it, which is the interesting thing, because I did not realize I moved my arms in different ways. And I didn't realize why I did it until I started watching this. Or the way that I look around, or the way I see things. And I started thinking maybe other people don't do that. Like when she's flipping through pages in her head. That's a normal thing for me. I do that. It's like I'm going through websites. I just kind of scroll through real quick, you know? Or when I'm trying to figure out my DVDs. If I'm not home, I just kind of browse through it, and then I can kind of sort. And I have a picture in my head of where it is, and it's like if I did math when I was younger, I would draw it out in my head. I would actually write it out in my head, and I'd have the paper. And that's just kind of how I did it. Apparently other people don't do it that way. I don't know. I don't know how other people see in their head. That's just kind of what works. I don't know. But or the way I move my arms, like if I'm wearing a shirt that covers my arms, I don't like it how like it rode up into my armpit or something like that. Then I tend to just kind of move my arms in ways till it feels comfortable. And that's normal to me, but I realized by watching this show that that's not normal. I'm like, yes. But then I started seeing it and nobody else did it. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I do that. I'd never realized I do that because it's just normal to me. But it's not something I am actively trying to stop because I just kind of do it. It's just kind of my habit. It's comfortable, and I'm trying to make myself comfortable because I don't want things touching me. Or also the touch thing. That one I knew about, though, because my entire family has pointed it out to me for years. Well, we'll get into this. We'll get into this. Don't worry. We'll get into that when I read about symptoms. This is going to be a longer video. I'm sorry. According to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, a guide created by the American Psychiatric Association that healthcare providers use to diagnose mental disorders people with ASD often have. Move this. It doesn't feel like like it's looking at me. Let's see. Often have difficulty with communication and interaction with other people, restricted interests and repetitive behaviors. Symptoms that affect their ability to function in school, work, and other areas of life. I've held down jobs. I'm really good at tech jobs because it's very repetitive, And I do a lot of the same types of things, and it's perfect for me. Let's see, autism is known as a spectrum disorder because there is a wide variation in the type and severity of symptoms people experience. I have several friends that are it, and they are lower. Let's see, one of them is about the same amount of functionality as me. One of them is lower functioning than me. Functioning, I mean, on the spectrum of functioning, I mean how well they interact with people around them. And I can kind of gauge because I also have it. But I also might just be seeing how I interact with people because I know inside that I'm very awkward. I just am. Online, I'm probably fine because I'm talking at a camera. I can actually communicate and talk, but I have no in-person speaking skills at all. I'm a very nervous talker, and I will bring up Godzilla, Dragon Ball Z, or computers at some point in our conversation, and that's just how it's going to be. That's where the conversation's going because I know about it and I know how to talk about it. Okay, sorry. People of all genders, races, ethics, and economic backgrounds can be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Interesting fact, 1 in every 100 people is possibly on this spectrum. I remember reading that. Okay, although autism spectrum disorder can be a lifelong disorder, treatments and services can improve a person's symptoms and daily functioning. Yes, that's what I did. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that all children receive screening for autism. Caregivers should talk to their child's health care provider about ASD screening and evaluation. Okay, so signs. Oh, it's the same thing as the other one I've opened up over here. Okay, so same thing. So, social communication. There are several different tells of this. So, social communication. This is a social disorder. How your brain lets you react and interact with people around you. Let's see. Making little or inconsistent eye contact. I actively have always had to remind myself to make eye contact. I kind of just go in my head, and sorry if I'm looking around. That's how I look around in my head. That's how you think. But a lot of times when I'm playing a game, I don't have to look up at the camera because I'm watching the game. That's what I'm focused on. It's something I can hyper-focus on. That's what I'm doing, and then I can just kind of talk while I'm doing it. That's actually a natural thing for me. Focus on one thing while I'm talking to someone else without looking at them. That's actually that's natural for me. That's always been natural for me, and even if I'm not recording, that's what I do. I'm sorry. I know I'm weird. Okay, so number 2, appearing not to look or listen to people who are talking. Like I said, my parents thought I was deaf. I actually have to actively remind myself to respond to people. Sometimes I forget, and then I realize it later, and I try and make the best of it. I don't know. Okay, so infrequently sharing interest, emotion, or enjoyment of objects or activities, including by infrequently pointing out or showing things to others. Yeah, I still struggle with this one. Trying to point out or trying to interact with someone when they're talking to me about something that's interesting to them that I'm not interested in. I have a hard time just talking to them about it. I don't know how. I don't get it. Okay, so not responding or being slow to respond to one's name or to other verbal bids for attention. I don't know what it's saying here. Responding or being slow to respond to one's name. Oh, when they're calling my name. Yeah, like someone calls my name, I hear them. It's something I have to remind myself to turn around and look at them. That's something that just happens. Often, like a lot of this is a conscious effort to remember. It's something I've worked on since I was a child, and I have to remind myself of all the time. Okay, so having difficulties with back and forth conversation. Yeah. Trying to keep a topic going when it's not about my main 3 topics is a challenge. I'm not very good at. Why does this keep creeping up? I feel like it's going up. Tighten. Okay, sorry. I feel like it was going up. Often talking at length about a favorite subject without noticing that others are not interested or without giving others a chance to respond. I might have, I've already touched on this a little bit. I love Godzilla. Like, I have figure up there. I have about 42 dioramas sitting down there. I have a lot of Godzilla. My tattoo is of Godzilla. I have figures everywhere. They're around my house. I have them everywhere. I have Dragon Ball Z everywhere as well, but not as many as Godzilla. I'm obsessed. I love it. But that's kind of what I aim conversations in, because I know about it. That's what I know how to talk about, and I don't know how to communicate otherwise. I'm sorry. I know it's weird. I know, but I'll start talking about it, and I won't realize I've started talking about it until I realize they haven't said anything for like 5 minutes, and they just want to get away. And that's kind of how every interaction I've ever had with new people has ever gone. Like, seriously, I got married at 25, but I didn't have a girlfriend until I was 21. Because I am so incredibly awkward. Okay, so displaying facial expressions, movements, or gestures that do not match what is being said. I'm not sure I understand. I guess the thing with like the shoulders, my hands kind of move around a lot, you know? If I'm actually walking around, my hands do move around a lot. I kind of make myself hold them at my side more often than not. I try and make myself so I don't look weird. Well, yeah, they just kind of wander. Like, because if I'm scrolling, then I scroll. Or if I'm trying to remember the order of something, I just do it, you know? There's not really a problem with it. I figure other people do it, but I haven't seen other people do it. Now that I think of it, oh my goodness. Okay, displaying facial expression. Oh no, that's what I just read. Having an unusual tone of voice that may sound sing-song or flat and robotic-like. It depends on what I'm talking about, really. It really depends on what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's about it. I've done that many times, many times. Having trouble understanding other person's point of view or being unable to predict or understand other people's actions. This is one of my biggest issues. I can't read facial expressions. I don't have the actual ability to tell what other people are thinking. And a lot of times I just ask my wife what she's thinking or what she feels about me at that moment, what she's feeling, what she's thinking, because I just don't know. Because if her voice goes higher, I assume she's mad. But she's also Filipino, and I know that Filipinos are loud. That's what she's told me. All of her friends are loud, her family is loud, they all yell around a lot at the table. So I don't know if she's angry or if she's just being loud. And I know that it's difficult to tell because I have partial hearing loss now. As I get older, I kind of see that I have partial hearing loss. It's harder to hear certain frequencies. I can't hear some things anymore, and she has to kind of talk a little louder. But depending on how she's talking is how I'm kind of gauging if she's mad. But sometimes I'll be like, "Are you mad right now?" And that, of course, as you can guess, makes it worse. If she is. If not, she's like, "No, I'm just talking loud." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I didn't know." Because I'll start getting worked up, and she's like, "Why are you getting mad?" And I'll be like, "Because you're mad and you're yelling, so I'm being mad." And then it's just like, "No, I'm not mad. You're just getting mad for no reason." I'm like, "What? Okay, sorry. I'll back off." And I apologize, and we're good. But that's like my everyday. I apologize If my wife ever sees this, I'm sorry. Okay, where with that? So, difficulties adjusting behaviors or social situations. Yeah, I don't know how to act around people. Like, it's not just some kind of millennial thing or any of those things that you see online. I actually don't have the ability to know how I'm supposed to act. It's not that I refuse. It's nothing like that, or I have the knowledge and I just don't do it. It's not like that. It's like I'm not picking up on what other people are doing around me. That's what I'm told. I've had a social worker for years. This is kind of how he described it to me. I had a social worker from when I was 12 till I was 21. Met with me multiple times a year. We talked about where I was at. We talked about what my goals will be, what I'm trying to do, what I'm doing right now with that to accomplish that goal. Like, today we're going to try doing the laundry. Today we're going to try doing the dishes by yourself and wash your hands after so you're still clean. Things like that, you know? So it was just helping me try and branch out what I'm doing day to day. Because some things I didn't do because it wasn't in my normal routine of behavior. So that's the big thing. Routine behavior is the big key to this disability. Okay, so difficulties sharing in... Oh yeah, and for the adjusting behaviors, I kind of just tend to copy what other people around me tend to be doing. More or less. Well, unless it makes me feel more embarrassed and moving around too much or touching people. I just don't like that. I don't even let my kids touch me while I'm eating food. Like, if I'm eating my breakfast or my lunch or my dinner, nobody touches me. I'm sitting, I'm eating. I'll talk to you guys, but nobody touches me. My kids touch me, I tell them to get off. I just don't want them touching me because it's not comfortable. Like, if I know and I'm prepared for them to touch me, then I'll hug them and all that, but if I'm eating, I'm focused on that. That's what I'm doing. If I'm working, I'm focused on that. That's what I'm doing. I don't want them to be near me. I don't want them to physically touch me because it's not comfortable. It's not good. You know? Well, I guess not good. I guess it is good because they are my kids and I love them. But it's bad because I didn't expect them to be touching me. And it just feels off, you know? Okay. So let's see. Where was I? Repeating certain behaviors or having unusual behaviors, such as repeating words or phrases. My wife has started noticing this. Like, sometimes I'll flick a light switch twice, or if I turn the wrong way when I walk into a room, I will turn around in place the other direction, or my hands, I move them in different ways, or I grab them in different ways. I can't stand them being grabbed in the wrong way. Or if I blow on myself, I don't really like to do it an even number of times just because I want to do it the same way as it was before so it feels the same. Otherwise it feels off and I didn't do it right, and then I got to fix it. So I do it again until I can get it right and it feels the same. Just different things like that, you know, little things. Let's see. Oh, having a lasting interest in specific topics, such as numbers, details, or facts. Numbers, depends on the subject. If we're talking about Godzilla, I can tell you about all the years, I can tell you about all the actors, what they did, how hot it was in that suit, everything. Why they switched from the first suit to the new design of the suit, because he couldn't move anymore in the water, because they told him to move and he couldn't because the suit was too heavy and thick. And he almost died of heat stroke. In the 1954 Gojira. It's a good movie. Good suit. It was amazing. You need to watch it because that movie's so cool. I need to watch it again. Oh, it's so good. Okay, but still. Okay, having a lasting interest in specific topics such as numbers, details, or facts. Some things I might tend to focus on more than others. I don't know. I kind of do. I think that just comes with it. I don't know. I probably do this. I haven't noticed, but I probably do. I don't know. My wife would be able to tell you more than me. Okay, becoming upset by slight changes. in a routine and having difficulty with transitions. Yes. That's like half my life. My mom moves furniture when she's bored. My sister moves things when she's stressed. I hate it so much. They know, don't touch my office, don't touch my upstairs area, don't touch my areas. Don't touch my gym. Don't you fucking touch anything I own. Because that's mine, and you don't touch it. Because it goes where it goes, and nobody touches it because that's where it goes. It might look messy to you, but to me it is organized chaos, and I need it like that. Like, I have a little Godzilla, this one. I have this guy sitting here on my setup. He doesn't blend in with any of the other dioramas there, but I have him there because he goes in that spot. He doesn't match them, but he's facing towards me and he goes in that spot. And that's just how it is. That's how I want it. Or my desk. It's right here because of the location and it's convenient for me. If they move it, I will lose my shit. Like they're talking about getting rid of something in the home gym before. And moving it, I just lost it. I could not deal with that. I have to have days and days advance warning before you move my stuff because I can't do it. I need like a forewarning, otherwise my brain just says no. I need to tighten that. Why does it keep sagging? Sorry. Okay, I tightened it, so it should be good. Sorry. Okay, so moving on from that, because that's a pet peeve. Everyone moves things. I can't handle it. I can't do it. They moved my dishes yesterday. I was at work, and I didn't know they were going to move my dishes. They moved them all around. They got rid of a bunch of things and put it to Goodwill because I didn't use it. What the fuck? Leave my dishes the fuck alone. They're my dishes. I paid for them. They're mine. Leave them alone. And if I didn't pay for them, then they were given to me. Either way, they're mine. Don't touch my fucking kitchen. I hate it. Okay. Showing overly focused interests, such as with moving objects or parts of objects. Okay. You know how I can relate to this. My daughter definitely has ADD. Not ADHD, but based on what symptoms she exhibits, just minor ADD. And I can relate to this because some things are more satisfying than others if I can make them a repetitive moving object for me to tinker with my hands. So a fidget spinner is something like this, or we used to call it the quiet toy. It was a wireframe thing where I could bend it and shape it into different things. Or a Rubik's Cube, for example, is something like that, where I could focus on it without focusing on it. I could listen to someone better if I had my hands already doing something. Where half my focus was on that, and I was kind of relieving the stress of the situation because I was focused on the specifics of the puzzle. I've always been a maze person. Mazes were something they gave me. I had a book of mazes that was that thick. And I went through the whole book. Different kinds of challenging mazes. Most people couldn't figure them out. I was able to figure them out because I focused on it and I could do it. And I could still listen to conversation while I was doing it because that's kind of how my brain balanced it. Like I could focus on it because I had something to do. Okay, so coming by... where am I? Oh, I already read that one. Okay. Sorry. Oh, yeah. People with AD or ASD may also experience sleep problems and irritability. Yeah, I don't sleep. I sleep 4 hours a night, maybe. 4.5 on a good night. I never really slept that much. People on the autism spectrum may have many strengths, including being able to learn things in detail and remember information for long periods of time. Yes. I could tell you about all the computer parts I used since 2003. Yes. Or Dragon Ball, where I think it was 169 episodes for the original Dragon Ball, 291 episodes for Dragon Ball Z, 64 episodes for Dragon Ball GT, 131 episodes for Dragon Ball Super, 4 movies for original Dragon Ball. Isn't it 15 movies now total for Dragon Ball Z, if you include Battle of Gods and Resurrection F? 2 Dragon Ball Super movies and 1 special / movie for Dragon Ball GT, which we all like to forget existed. And then not really many, 3 live action movies. One was a Chinese bootleg, one's a Korean bootleg, Go Son Goku. It was actually pretty good. It's just really hard to get a hold of. I got it. And then, of course, the American one where the guy that directed it said that he didn't even watch Dragon Ball, which is atrocious. He deserves to be punished because it doesn't do it justice. Even the bootleg ones do it justice, and they do so good a job of sticking generally to the storyline, at least loosely enough where you still understand what's happening, but they don't get sued. Okay. So being strong visual and auditory learners, I would say I'm more of a visual learner. I kind of have to see it and do it to understand it. But I understand that people are different types of learners, and that's just how we are. Excellence in math, science, music, or art. Let's say math. I took every class my college had because I got my degree in programming. I did a lot of math. My daughter's very good at math. Way better than I'll ever be. But she just has a knack for it, you know? Okay. Researchers don't know... Okay, cause and risk factors. Researchers don't know the primary causes of ASD, but studies suggest that a person's genes can act together with aspects of their environment to affect development in ways that lead to ASD. Some factors that are associated with an increased likelihood of developing ASD include having a sibling with ASD, no. Having older parents, my dad was 78 when he died. My dad was born in 1941. Wait, yes. Yeah, my dad is old. Having certain genetic conditions such as Down syndrome or Fragile X syndrome. I don't know what that is. Nobody in my family has had Down syndrome, but I'm pretty sure my dad also was on the spectrum at some point because we behaved very similarly. Having a very low birth weight. I was pretty light, but I was also very sick. I was having seizures when I was born. I had all kinds of issues. Like, they kept me in the hospital there because I was having a seizure as I was born. Then I had asthma attacks where my chest met my back. The bones were still soft and they were bendable, but my chest actually touched my back. Bad asthma. Okay, so diagnosing, we're going to pass that. Screening, pass that. Okay, I don't care about the treatment. I've done this. I've done all this. Okay, I've done all this. Oh, they have a thing. That's cool. I might do a giveaway sometime with that. I'll work on that. Okay, so we talked about most of these signs and symptoms. This is a different one. Other characteristics. Delayed language skills. Yes. Okay, so mentally, with some things, I was far ahead of everybody else, but with some things, I was very far behind them. Most social interaction, most ways people interact, I was years behind them growing up. Like, when I was 18, mentally, I was probably more around 15. You know, where my actual mental acuity could be up to par or beyond people with certain tasks. Some things would be way behind them. But it's not really a pick and choose. You can't just choose what you're good at. It's what you're interested in. That's what you learn. Bugs the heck out of my wife. Okay, so delayed movement skills. I got interested in arm wrestling pretty early on. Like at kindergarten, I was interested in arm wrestling. I loved it. And then I stuck up with that. When I went to middle school, I started lifting weights. When I went to high school, I started lifting more weights. And that I've always been pretty good at movement skills, other than how I move around people. When it comes to a sports movement, I've always been very good. I've always been stronger than most of the people because I've lifted weights since I was a little younger. But my fine motor skills, they always seem pretty good because I was always focused on stuff like that, you know? This is kind of one of the things I got into, arm wrestling. Okay, delayed cognitive or learning skills. Yes, I was definitely a few years behind everyone else. Because some people will be like, oh, I was stupid back in high school. I was stupid back in high school. I was developmentally behind everyone else around me. A little bit. I had to try and overachieve dramatically to catch up or to keep up to their level, you know? It was frustrating. It really was. Okay, so hyperactive, impulsive, and or inattentive behavior. I wasn't really hyperactive. I can imagine inattentive because I noticed this when my wife would mention people, sit at benches, things like that, because I was that kid that would sit at the bench and peel the paint or tap on the side of the bench. I would just sit there at recess. I would go to the bench at recess and I would just be at the bench. That's what I would do. I didn't really hang out with people. Let's see, epilepsy or seizure disorder. I actually do have seizures. True story. I have petite mal seizures. It's why I can't drive, because when I was doing the driving test, I had a seizure, and now they won't let me drive, which is really frustrating, because I rely on everybody else to take me places, and I hate it. Because they hate it, and they complain about it, and I don't like them complaining about it, because it's not like I have a choice. I do a bike and a scooter. I have flipped several times on my scooter. It hurts, but I just get up and I keep scootering. I go through one scooter a year. Like the electric ones, I go 20, 30 miles an hour. Yeah, they're expensive. I'm working on it. Okay, so unusual eating and sleeping habits. I have bad eating habits. It's more of a comfort thing for me, I think. My thing is snacking. I have a hard time not snacking. I hate it. I hate it so much. Sleeping habits. I have bad sleeping habits. I don't sleep. I don't sleep that much. I never have. It's not just a short amount of time where I sleep very little. I never sleep more than 5 hours. Almost never. It's very rare. Maybe one weekend every once in a while. If I go to bed early enough, I might sleep in till it's light out. Then I'll be awake for that. But for the most part, it's an active thing where I try and lay down. Okay. Gastrointestinal issues. I didn't realize that was a symptom. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Okay. Unusual mood or emotional reactions. I guess. I don't know. I get pretty moody, I guess. Depends on what everyone around me is doing and what I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. Anxiety, stress, or excessive worry. Yes. Have you ever had, like, your whole stomach literally be called an ulcer by your doctor? Yeah. Nexium starts to taste real good. Now, I've stressed myself to the point where I've literally worn away the entire mucus lining of my stomach. The entire mucus lining of my stomach. Where I've dissolved that away because of how strong the acid was in my stomach. I've had a lot of stress issues, major stress issues, anxiety, worrying about things all the time. This just kind of comes with it. Okay, so lack of fear or more fear than expected. It depends on what I'm doing. Like, I've picked up bees by their wings, walked around with them. But I've also pinned myself to a wall because I didn't want to get a shot. I'll walk on a high ropes course or next to a high area without anything on me because I'm not afraid of it. But other little things I might just be paralyzed by. Like, I have all of the symptoms. It's not just a couple of symptoms. the only reason I can function normally, and it's hard to tell if I have autism, is because I went to classes so early on and kept up with my social worker so often that I was able to compensate for it, for the most part, for almost all of my life. And I had people that were very supportive and helping me all the time. There are several things I don't get right. I try. I do my best. But really, it just comes down to I had a lot of help, you know? My parents cared. They got me diagnosed, and they took all the steps required to help me succeed. I'm fairly sure that one of my nephews, or I guess cousins technically, my wife was raised with her aunties like their sisters, so their kids are our cousins technically. So one of my cousins is definitely on the spectrum. He's either Asperger's or high-functioning autism. He's most likely autistic based on how he behaves overall. But his mother absolutely refuses to believe there could be anything wrong with their son. So that just comes down to negligence and not being willing to get your son tested, even though he's been kicked out of schools and has several issues where these aren't just quirks, these are behaviors that are very diagnosable and treatable for a better life. But it only makes it, I get frustrated on this because it only makes life harder for him in the long run, where he can't function later on when he's an adult because you won't get him tested and you won't get him a social worker to help him. It's frustrating. I know, it's a frustrating thing. Oh, I just noticed a bunch of these. It's okay. But if your kids are having any of these kind of symptoms, get them tested. It doesn't really cost you anything. Well, if you have insurance, you're fine. I pay for insurance. I have insurance. I think it's worth it. It's worth a doctor trip. You know, it's worth it. Don't be a stubborn parent. Just go get your kid tested to see if they're good. If your doctor says, yeah, they're fine, you win. Perfect. If not, then at least you know what to do so that they can succeed in life. My parents are very attentive, and I appreciate the heck out of it. I do miss my dad a lot. He died a couple of years ago. I do miss him, but he was always there. Well, he was always supportive. He was never there, but he was supportive. He worked a lot. But yeah, other than that, we're good. My mom was always there. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. That's pretty much all I want to talk about. Oh, I had this open also, but there's really not much on this to talk about. Oh, it's at 1 in every 44 children. I thought it was 100 last time I checked. And don't worry about this. It's just me looking at tech parts. Okay, so anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys being here. If any of you actually watched the whole thing, good for you. I know I'm annoying to listen to. I'm sorry. I don't try and be difficult. I just kind of am. I just am difficult. So thank you so much for putting up with me. Because that's kind of, I look at myself and I suffer depression a lot because I feel like I'm a burden for other people. Because I know I'm a hard person to be around. I'm a hard person to deal with. And this is kind of how it's always been. I've gotten used to it, and that's like the source of my depression. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Bye.